I must thank our father, the Primate of all Nigeria, for assigning me to address such a top-notch ecclesiastical set of dignitaries from the Church of Rwanda province. The Primate of all Nigeria, His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Henry Chukwudum Dukuba, Primate Archbishop and Metropolitan of the Church of Nigeria, the President of the Girls and Men's Organization of Church of Nigeria, Mama Angela Ndukuba, Mama Nigeria, His Grace, the Primate of Rwanda, and the Chairman of GAFCAN, our leader, the Most Reverend Laurent Mbanda, and our dear Mama Rwanda, Mama Chantal Mbanda, Archbishops, Bishops, Bishops' wives, General Secretary of the Church of Nigeria, Registrar of the Church of Nigeria, all the distinguished clergymen here, officials of the churches of Nigeria and Rwanda, ladies and gentlemen. The title of the lecture assigned to me is The Historical Evolution of the Church of Nigeria. Just to have an idea, this is a historical presentation, and in some of the aspects of the lecture, we have a shared heritage. We join our Primate and Mama Nigeria to welcome you to a very vibrant Anglican province, the Anglican Communion. The backgrounds to the Anglican Church tells us that the African people are diverse in their ethnic configuration and tribes. We had our cultural practices, we had our ethical injunctions, we had our taboos, we had our culture before the white man came to us. We were a great people in Africa before colonization happened. There were empires in Africa. We had Ashanti Empire, we had Oyo Empire, we had Mali Empire, we had kings, we had emperors. And let us not forget that civilization began from Africa, Egypt. And let us also remember that Jesus Christ our Lord was a refugee in Africa when his life was threatened in Israel. So Africa had been great before the white man came. But because of the manipulation of theology, we had some wrong theologians in the whites, among the whites, who manipulated the Bible. They brought up what they call the Hamitic theory, claiming that Africans are descendants of Ham, who was caused by Noah. Therefore, their descendants will be fetchers of wood and then drawers of water for the other tribes. You know, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So they regard us as a cursed race. And they regarded also that it is God's injunction for the African man to serve them. They say we are under a curse. Then we go to Peter, then we go to Paul, who says, servants, obey your masters. This is the will of the Lord. So they manipulated it by saying slavery is good. They say we are not human beings after all, forgetting that Africa had actually been very prominent right from the beginning. Rivers that came out of the Garden of Eden passed through Ethiopia. River, Africa is connected to the source. Nimrod, who first built the city in the world, was an African. So we had a very good background. And so the white men came and they enslaved us. Slavery, transatlantic slavery, involved coming forcefully to take our forebears. And then, like cargoes, they were taken to America, to Europe, to Brazil, to Cuba, and there they served. Terrible dehumanization for quite a long time. And unfortunately, the Church of England was complicit in this. Even when the abolition of slave trade happened, led by William Wilberforce, the Bishop of Exeter refused to release the slaves. He said, they are my property, they are properties of the church. They had to settle him before he released more than 600 slaves. So we find the Church of England actually involved. They saw us as commodities. And so when they look at us today, they still have that mentality that we are nobody. But we are somebody. Wherever the Anglican Church went, they rode on the wings of the British Empire. Simply because the Anglican Church, the Church of England. And so everywhere the church is located, It is the state church. We are the Church of Nigeria, official church of this country by colonial legacy. So do you say of the Church of Gambia, you say the same to the Church of Province of Rwanda. That is what we have benefited from our status as being the beneficiaries of both the British Empire and the Anglican Communion. And you know the Queen or the King is also head of the British Empire, head of the Commonwealth, as well as head of the Anglican Communion. So church and state go together. We have that advantage. And of course, this colonization happened at the Berlin Conference in 1845, when countries gathered and they brought out the map of Africa and began to allocate us to themselves. And today, we have not recovered from the effects of colonization. Nigeria here has a close border with Benin Republic, not too far from Togo, but they were colonized by the French. We were colonized by Britain. Brothers, who naturally, in the olden days, the Yoruba Empire extended to Dahomey. So brothers were separated because the lingua franca were distorted. They dehumanized us in such a way, took away our civilization. But Nigeria and Rwanda, we have a lot of things in common. We are both colonies of England, but Rwanda has an added experience of the French influence as well. So you are a Francophone, and there are Anglophone influences over Rwanda. So, but painfully too, Nigeria and Rwanda had a very tragic similarity. You had the genocide, very unfortunately, but we also had the Nigerian-Biafra war, tribal. Both of them were tribal. And when tribal problems happen, religion will not matter. Because when tribalism comes to excesses, brothers and sisters will kill each other. Even pastors and nuns, they will join in killing because of tribes. So we need to watch it. So we have a common experience as far as that is concerned here. So we also have, we are strong with our Anglican roots, and we are also exposed to Pentecostalism. We have had our Pentecostal experiences, and you also have benefited from the East African revival. But Nigeria Anglican Church is rich because directly or indirectly, we wield a lot of influences. And if you listen to the Pentecostal leaders in Nigeria today, those who are leading very big churches, it might interest you to know that they were born Anglican, they were raised Anglican. I will give you examples. Benson Hidahosa attended the Anglican Church in Benin City. Enoch Adeboye, the leader of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, was a member of the choir in my diocese. William Kumuyi, who started the Deeper Life Christian Church, was also an Anglican, baptized, confirmed Anglican. And the current president of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, Bishop Wale Oke, was the leader of the Anglican youth at Ibadan. His father was also a leader for 40 years. So Anglican Church has provided leadership beyond the Anglican Communion. Our influences are there. And in many cases, Anglican liturgy define their spirituality. When they depart from it, they must come back to that. Anglican hymns, Anglican marriage liturgy, Holy Communion, Anglican, even the vestments, they are now borrowing now. And so we see that the Anglican Church has a lot of influences. We thank God that colonialism has gone, but we pray that it will go completely. Because colonialism comes in three ways. The first way was when they came to carry us like cargoes. And many were killed, many were dropped inside the Atlantic Ocean, they were dehumanized, raped, murdered. And that was that. They put a stop to that. Then they moved to the second phase of colonization, which was, they didn't need to take us to their country. They came and colonized us on our land, took away everything that we had, and changed our mentality, gave us colonial mentality. That was colonialism. Then after we got some education, we raised giants who were the people who fought for the independence of African nations. You will remember other areas. You will remember Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, Tanzania, all of them. These are people. You also had your leaders in Rwanda. They fought and they put an end to that second phase of colonialism. But there is a third one going on now, which is a willful emigration of the best brains of Africa. Our best doctors, our best engineers, they are on their own selling themselves to the Western power because of the power of pound sterling and dollars. It is not a good thing for a country to lose the best of its brain who are the leaders of tomorrow. And so when the slavery became very intensive, we had the CMS being formed. We have a common heritage as far as that is concerned. The church Missionary Society was founded on the 12th of April 1799. It was an offshoot of the London Missionary Society, started by the Clapham sect of young Christians who were educated at Oxford and Cambridge universities. They had a passion for evangelizing the dark continents of the world. William Wilberforce was a member of this Clapham sect. He later led the fight for the abolition of slave trade because he was a member of the parliament. The origin of the Clapham sect and the CMS actually started from India. There was a proposal written by Charles Grant and George Utney of the East India Company, as well as David Brown of Calcutta, sending a proposal that the young member of the parliament, Wilberforce, should lead the fight for abolition of slave trade, and they should also evangelize different parts of the world. So, on the 12th of April 1799, the Society for the Mission to Africa and the East was formed. It happened to be the meeting of the Eclectic Society, supported by the Clapham sect, a group of young fervent Anglicans led by Reverend John Venn, the father of Reverend Henry Venn, who later became the secretary of the CMS Mission Office. Although Nigeria had contact with some forms of Christianity, it was not a formal mission. But in the Niger Delta area, Benin and Warri, as far early as the 16th, 15th century, they had been contact with the Portuguese Christians of the Roman Catholic nature. But they didn't come for evangelism, they came for trade. But then the Olu of Warri, the traditional ruler, was able to accept them, and he started having Christian influences. So Christianity was brought by the CMS to us. They recruited missionaries, they brought volunteers from different nations, and then they came to evangelize us. When they came, they were able to bring a version of Anglicanism, which is called the evangelicals, or the low church. CMS brought the low church, that is the evangelical form of Anglicanism. The other was brought by the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel, and they are the ones who have the Anglo-Catholic model of Anglican church liturgy. You have them in India, you have them also in Ghana. So these two, SPG and CMS, were the ones that really jumped into the array to try to evangelize because they wanted to bring the light of the gospel to the whole world. So the CMS had a very great tentacle that they spread to different parts of the world. Let me run through some of them. West Africa, they came there, Guinea, 1804. Sierra Leone, they were there, 1816. West Indies started 1813. New Zealand, 1814. India, CMS got there 1814. They went to the Middle East in 1815. They were in Sri Lanka 1817. Northwest America, Canada in 1822. They went to Egypt in 1825. They went to Ethiopia 1825 as well. And also they went to Australia 1825. They brought Christianity of the Anglican form to South Africa in 1837. They went as far as China in 1844. CMS was there. They were in Palestine 1851. Mauritius, 1854. British Columbia, 1856. Madagascar, 1863. Japan, 1868. They went to Iran, Persia, 1869. They went to Iraq, 1883. They went to Sudan, 1899. They came to East Africa, 1844. They came to Kenya, 1849. Uganda, 1877. Tanzania, 1864. The Anglican Church later came to Rwanda, Burundi between 1916 and 1919. The Rwanda mission station started as medical mission by Drs. Algernon Stanley Smith and Leonard Sharp. It later became independent mission and was reincorporated into the CMS. Rwanda mission emerged in 1919, while Burundi mission emerged in 1934. Then the Anglican Church of Nigeria is perhaps the largest Anglican church in the world today in terms of active worshiping and practicing Anglicans. It claims an estimated population of 18 million members. However, there are some who disagree. The Cambridge University Press believes we are about 11 million, not 18 million. But we are still the largest. We were regarded as the second largest to Church of England because they assumed that everybody was born in England was a member of the Church of England. But knowing what is happening there today, England is going down, the churches are being sold, they are now becoming a post-Christian society. They cannot claim to be larger than the Church of Nigeria. So Church of Nigeria is the largest by population of Anglicans all over the world today. The Church of Nigeria, when it started, today it has 14 internal provinces. It is undoubtedly the largest also in the continent of Africa. It accounts for 41.7% of Africans in sub-Saharan Africa. This province is currently being led by His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Henry Chukwudu Mudukuba, Doctor of Divinity, has 161 dioceses. We also have foreign missions in North America. We are present in Canada. We also have the Church of Nigerian North American Mission to coordinate the mission field. We also have some presence in some Francophone countries bordering dioceses of the Church of Nigeria. We also, this is something very unique, we have bishoprics in this Anglican Church that are not diocesan. During the period of Primate Peter Akinola, he established the office of the Bishop Theologian, which is to supervise the theology of the church and to supervise theological education and theological colleges, because they discovered that most of the evil that they are doing in the Western society started from the theology. A bad theology produces a bad priest who kills the church. We also have what they call the nomadic mission. There's a bishop in charge of the nomadic mission to supervise evangelizing the Hausa Fulanis who are nomadics there. So in America, we had a bishop in charge of the military formation before they went to another diocese over there. So there were non-diocesan bishoprics there. And then, as I said earlier on, our heritage is the CMS and the Anglican Church. The first exploratory mission into Nigeria by the CMS happened first in 1841. It was an expedition led by Reverend James F. Scone and had Samuel Elijah Crowther on board. It was short-lived because the whites died. Many of them died because of the effect of malaria. They didn't have quinine as a prophylactic to stop malaria at that time. So because of that, they had to terminate the mission. And that was the reason why Rev'D, the Secretary General at that time, advocated for a self-sustaining in native pastoral. He calls it the three selves. Let's have a church that is self-governing, a church that is self-financing, and a church that will swell self-propagating, an independent pastorate. So, but the formal missionary endeavor to Nigeria started on December 17, 1842, with the arrival in Badagry, Western Nigeria, of the British missionary Reverend Henry Townsend, accompanied by Samuel Elijah Crowther. They went to Badagry, but they met the Methodist Church already present, Reverend Thomas Clark Freeman of the Wesley Mission came in September, and both of them celebrated the first Christmas in December 1842. Both of them pioneered the Yoruba mission, and then they moved to Abeokuta, and from Abeokuta they began to spread and develop the Yoruba mission. With the consecration of Samuel Crowther on St. Peter's Day, 29th of June 1864 at Canterbury Cathedral, he was appointed by Queen Victoria and issued a license appointing him as Bishop of Western Equatorial Africa in territories beyond the King's dominion. He was the first ever black bishop of African descent. His jurisdiction covered many parts of Nigeria, west, east, and part of the Niger Delta, and also went as far as other parts of West Africa. Ajayi Crowther controlled as far as the Gambia. It was a very large episcopate. That is our root. And according to the foreword written by the Primate Ndukuba to the book titled The 180 Years of Anglican Church in Nigeria, I quote the Primate. On January 10, 1852, the Lagos mission kicked off. The CMS Igbo Land mission began in Atonisha 1857, covering the whole of the southeast, south-south, and Lokoja area. In early 19th century, the CMS Northern Mission began as part of the Niger Mission in Lokoja, Ilori, Bebe, Ida, Raba, and Nupeland. Bishop Frank Melvin Jones was consecrated on the feast of St. Luke on October the 10th, 1919, for the Diocese of Lagos, which included the northern area. They were part of Lagos from 1990 to 1940, when they were created alone. Then the Diocese of the Niger was created on March 5, 1920, with retired Bishop Albert Togwell acting as the bishop before Bertram Lasbury. 1922 to 1945 was consecrated in 1922. The now many dioceses in the Church of Nigeria were offshoot from above major pioneer dioceses of the Anglican Church in Nigeria, unquote. So the Anglican Church remained a part of the Western Equatorial Africa. And by the time the Church of Nigeria was inaugurated as an autonomous diocese under the leadership of Most Reverend S.M. Scott, based in Sierra Leone at that time, on St. Matthew's Day, 24th, or St. Matthias Day, 24th February 1979, we now had an autonomous diocese with 14 dioceses constituting the Church of Nigeria. The province of Nigeria's first primate was Most Reverend Timothy Olufosoye. He was then Bishop of the Diocese of Ibadan. He administered the new province from his base at Ibadan. He focused on building the foundations of the province and encouraged youth and lay ministries in the church as a means to check the youth desertion of the Anglican Church in Nigeria. A major doctrinal crisis happened during Most Reverend Timothy Olufosoye over women ordination. Many of our clergymen went to Uganda, they went to Kenya, and they found also that in East Africa, we had women priests, but we don't have in Nigeria. So they brought up this issue. And when they were debating this issue, one of the bishops in the province of Nigeria, specifically the Diocese of Kwara, under the leadership of Right Reverend Herbert Haruna, decided to ordain some women. It brought a lot of difficulties for the church. And at the end of the day, the national church had to use its power to defrock those women and to cancel women ordination. They postponed it to the future. The second primate, Most Reverend Joseph Abiodun Adetiloye, he administered the Church of Nigeria. Again, he was Bishop of Lagos. He ran the Church of Nigeria Secretariat from Lagos. And he did a lot. One of the good things that he did was that, being an Oxford graduate himself, he was very educated and he had a passion for mission. One of the most prominent things that he did was to open up the northern part of Nigeria to evangelization. And that we will never forget him, because we do realize that before that time, the north was closed. And not many people, apart from the Sudan Interior Mission that penetrated the north, Anglican presence was very weak. We know that Islamic dominance was so prominent in the northern part, and then here the colonial authorities were complicit. I stumbled upon a particular document which was an edict issued by Lord Lugard, decreeing that Western missionaries were not welcome all over the north. That you are forbidden from evangelizing the Mohammedans. What did he do? He entered into contract with them and signed a contract that the north will be closed to evangelization. So if the northerners are reacting today, they are referring to the covenant. So the British people, true to type, they were not really interested in Christian missions. They were not interested in Christianity, even though Anglican Church came from them. As far as they were concerned, it is not religion that matters, but divide and rule policy, as long as they could control the people. Bishop Herbert Togwell attempted to enter Zaria and Kano. He was thrown out by the emirs. So he had to come back to Zaria and set up at Usasa, at the outskirts of the north, where they started the mission. So you can see that colonialization was not really Christianity. It is not right to say that the colonialists were supporting Christianity. No, they were not. It was just expediency that made them to be able to give us the little support we had. Adetiloye changed the story when he supported the election and consecration of some young, dynamic, and evangelical clergymen as missionary bishops to open up strategic towns and cities in northern Nigeria. He knew that the church was episcopal in nature, so if you get a good bishop, they will go over there and they will open up the place. And that's what he did. So he got some very, very good dioceses to support each of the dioceses that were to be opened. And so we thank God, those young men who were fervent for the Lord were thrown into the unknown. They went to Bauchi, Yola, Maduguri, Sokoto, and Gombe. Who would ever imagine then that one of the missionary bishops based at remote Gombe will today, like David, the shepherd, who rose to become king, rise to become our fifth primate today, in his grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Henry Chukwudum Ndokoba. How unfathomable are the ways of our God. Primate Adetiloye led the Nigerian bishops to Lambeth Conference of 1998, where notable Nigerian bishops, including Most Reverend Adetiloye, Right Reverend Peter Akinola, Right Reverend Peter Adebi, Right Reverend Emmanuel Chukuma, they contributed very, very constructively in fighting against this homosexuality when they first brought it up. And they forced the hand of Lambeth, 1998, to pass Resolution 110 on human sexuality. We can see that after that, contributing a lot, we see that Nigeria played a very important role even before the time of Primate Peter Akinola. As the Church of Nigeria grew in leaps and bounds, under Joseph Adetiloye, dioceses of the province were constituted initially into 3 provinces. Province 1, Lagos and the western part of the world, of the country. Province 2, East, that is the whole of the eastern part. And Province 3, the whole of the north. The Each of them was headed by an archbishop. That was the beginning of internal archbishopric in the Church of Nigeria. Let everybody understand. This is simply an administrative arrangement for administrative purposes. The Church of Nigeria before the world is one province of the Church of Nigeria. We have one fully recognized archbishop, metropolitan, and primate of all Nigeria. As long as we are one, and that is our primate who's here. But we have internal structures, and the other archbishops are there, administrative archbishops internally, because we are getting so large. So we started with 3. Eventually, we now have 14 provinces with 14 archbishops. We are getting larger and larger. Most Reverend Peter Jasper Akinola, he succeeded Primate Adetiloye, and he consolidated and enlarged the missionary innovation. He created many more dioceses in all parts of the province. Akinola consecrated more than 100 bishops. He instilled order, listen to this, he instilled order and strong discipline in the polity and in the episcopacy. He turned the primacy into a very strong patriarchy. This sense of a powerful primate subsists in the Nigerian Anglican Church today, and that helps us in maintaining good control. Peter Akinola was very innovative. He pioneered Anglican evangelization of Abuja. This is where we are. He was the one that started Christian evangelization of this city when he was posted here as a canon. He was in the capital city, and he now changed the seat of the Anglican Church of Nigeria. Instead of rotating it, based where the serving primate was, Ibadan and Lagos respectively, they built a secretariat, started taking off a secretariat, and established it here. The seat of the government will now be the seat of the church, and it has come with a lot of advantages here. Eventually, he became the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria within political influence. He was very vocal as a watchman over the society. We need to get that back so that our voice will be strong in the political affairs. There may be 1,000 churches, we are the Church of Nigeria, and our voice is the strongest as far as the polity is concerned. The most profound achievement of Primate Akinola was his innovative conceptualization and actualization of the Global Anglican Conference as a resistant movement to revisionism and same-sex official indulgence by American, European, and other heretics. Akinola, from here, led Jerusalem GAFCON in 1998, which passed the Jerusalem Statement. Primate Peter Akinola created many other offices there. And then he was the one who set up what we call the language school to teach all seminarians of the church languages other than their own mother tongues, so that an Anglican clergyman can serve anywhere in the country beyond his travel area. He was also the one that established the Crowder Graduate Theological Seminary as a center of excellence for theological education at all levels, including the postgraduate level. Now, Peter Akinola, he started a consultative forum of bishops and clergy and laity to brainstorm on what will guide him on the primacy for 10 years, and he worked on that. Peter Akinola started CANA, Convocation of Anglican Nigerian Churches in America, which metamorphosed into GAFCON, which was founded by, which also founded ACNA, Anglican Churches in North America, and later we now have CONAM. So our presence in the foreign country was necessitated by the fact that we could no longer entrust Nigerian Anglicans to the Church of England because of what they taught or what they refused to teach. Under Akinola, the agitation for women ordination reared its head again. And then they gathered at St. Michael's Cathedral, Kaduna, and they said, shall we allow women ordination? Then they decided to put it to vote. Out of 42 dioceses, 41 said no. Only one said yes, and it was defeated. The matter was brought again under Primate Nicholas Oko. Shall we now reconsider it? Kaduna said, give us 10 years and let us come back. After 10 years under Primate Oko, they went to put to vote. They even went to the women organization. The women said they were not interested. That's the reason why in the Church of Nigeria today, we do not have women Anglican priests, whereas in other parts of East Africa, they do. We want to thank Pastor Primate Akinola for publishing the book, Who Blinks Force, where he documented all the struggles of GAFCON and the conservative Anglicans against what they are doing in America and now in England. Under his watch, the Church of Nigeria modified its constitution. This is important. He said, traditionally, you are defined as an Anglican church if you are in communion with the See of Canterbury. But the Church of Nigeria changed the constitution. You can no longer define our identity by the nostalgic reference to a mother church that has lost its bearing. So they said, now you are an Anglican if you subscribe to the authority of the Holy Bible, the Scripture. and you also accept the Anglican Catechism, you accept the 39 Articles and the Book of Common Prayer, which the Western Anglicans have thrown into the dustbin. We must accept the historic creeds, the Nicene Creed, Apostles' Creed, Athanasian Creed, the Ordinal, all our fundamentals. That's what makes you an Anglican, not because you want to be in communion. We can't be in communion with the Church of England any longer. You see what they have just done? They have fully approved that they should marry a man, a woman, and a woman. Unfortunately, shamefully, it was proposed by bishops who should know better. And today, the Canterbury Cathedral has a dean of the cathedral who is a practicing homosexual. A man married to another man is the dean of the spiritual headquarters of the Anglican Church worldwide today. So we want to thank Baba Mbanda. Thank you for the resolution of Kigali that says we no longer have confidence in Archbishop Justin Welby as a leader of the Anglican Communion. And the statement has been made over and over again. We are the Anglican Communion. We are the Anglican Communion. They are the ones who are departing. We are the ones who are going to stay to salvage it. And then we remember also in the past, when we had crises and controversies, Africans were the ones that stood to defend Anglican orthodoxy and biblical orthodoxy. We don't need to go into all that because you should still remember important names like Tertullian, like Irenaeus, like Origen, like St. Augustine of Hippo, like Athanasius, like St. Anthony. These were Africans, brains who formed the theology of the church. Even the New Testament was approved as a canon in Carthage in Africa. We were the one that produced the modern Christianity. After Paul, Africa comes next, as far as influence is concerned. And so, Akinola ended, and he did so well. But now came the fourth primate, in Most Reverend Dr. Nicholas Oko, Doctor of Law. He commenced his primacy by doing what Akinola did. He called for a consultation at our retreat center, Agbaraoto, and what will be the next 10 years of my primacy. Most Reverend Dr. Henry Dukuba also called a consultation of the bishop, of the clergy, and the laity. What do you want? What are your priorities? This idea of consultation, and that's why it's so good for you to come here for a retreat. What we have come to do in this place is like what we came to you. We came to Rwanda and we learned a lot from you. So we learn from each other. A retreat simply means you've been active, and when you get to a stage, you have to go back. Like a footballer, there must be half time. You go back to the dressing room and listen to your coach, and you go back again with a new strategy. You are engaged in warfare, your ammunition is running low, you retreat and go and rearm yourself and re-strategize. That's the whole essence. We are in a battle here. And so this consultation with the clergy and the laity is very important. You see, Private Akola said something to me one day. He said, please, you young bishops, be very careful, don't be arrogant, because it is the laity that puts food on your table. They are the church. You are only appointed by God to serve them. So we must consult with them. They will not dictate to us. Democracy is not the final arbiter as far as spirituality is concerned. Our God runs a theocracy. He gives a command. The 10 commandments are still there. The laws of the Bible are still there. They don't change. But when you now allow democracy, how do you define it? Government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's what happened in the synods of Church of England, where majority carries the vote. And so the laity and other people, they outvote the people. No, we thank God for our nature, that we have a good bishop who will be able to have a good sustenance of Anglican orthodoxy. Oko did a lot. Number one, he established what I call the Anglican Cable Network. Later changed to Advent Cable Network, through which Anglican evangelization and Anglicanism is watched all over the world. So many programs are there that we are now visible all over the world. He did that. He introduced, number two, a daily devotional called the Daily Fountain, which will bring families together to begin to ruminate and study. You know, Anglican churches were brought up by our parents to have early morning prayers. But a devotional that is Anglican in nature, he did that. Number three, he also introduced what they call DEFCON, which is a spiritual revival convention. Number four, he centralized the entry examination into Anglican seminaries. People who are applying to come to seminary will do what we call JAMB in Nigeria. They will answer questions, 100 questions in Anglicanism, 100 questions in Bible knowledge, 100 questions in use of English, 100 questions in general studies. And they have a cut-off mind. If you don't meet up with the cut-off mind, you cannot enter. But now, under Primate Ndukuba, Baba has now said, pastoral formation is not theoretical. Before you are ordained in the Anglican church, you must have gone to serve in the church as an agent, as a catechist, or as an evangelist for a period of 2 years. Go and test yourself to show whether you are really called. because many people want to come to the church because of what they want to eat, not because they are really called. So we thank God for this revolution. They may be useful for other provinces. He was also the one that approved the starting of the annual conference of the chancellors and registrars and legal officers of the Church of Nigeria. Every year they gather. This week, all our chancellors, all our registrars, and all our legal officers will be here in Abuja. They will look at legal matters, look at the constitutional matters. We need them because we are the state church. They are present at every region. OCO was able to do that, and that has been sustained by our present primate. In conclusion, the fifth primate and the incumbent began his primacy on an evangelistic note. He declared his tenure as the reign of God. This was a clear announcement that his priority is spiritual rejuvenation, moral revival, and spiritual reformation of modern Christianity. He also called for a consultation to guide him. And since then, a lot of activities have been going on, and the voice of the primate of all Nigeria has been very loud at GAFCON, at CAPA, and other bodies that are global in nature. He also called a theological consultation so that they can revolutionize theological curriculum, welfare, and everything that has to do with theological colleges. Being a theologian himself and a former theological educator, we thank God that that has happened. So when you kill the theological colleges, you will produce priests who will also be able to make a lot of impact. We thank God for his background, his thorough education in America, Princeton, in England, University of Durham. He has a solid background to lead this church. And for many years, he was the chairman of the Liturgy and Spirituality Committee of the Church of Nigeria that produced our book of our book of common prayer. He established the Joshua Generation Conference, which intends to reclaim and retain the youth of the Anglican Church all over. Conferences that hold here in Abuja are about 25,000 to 30,000 Anglican youths. This will deepen their faith, strengthen the Anglican commitment, and it will expose them to sports, entertainment, and many other ways. His priority is to win the youth back. If you lose the youth, you lose the future of the church. Our primate Ndukuba has been able to do this. Number two, he has raised the bar of theological education. In those days, a minimum diploma in theology will qualify you to be ordained as a priest. And what did we find? The pew was getting higher in education than the pulpit. Now the primate says the minimum requirement is Bachelor of Theology for anybody to be ordained into the Anglican communion service in this church. The primate has introduced so many other wars, war against drug addiction, and so many other bodies have been set up and directories which are touching the lives of the people where it matters. Primate Ndukuba established the School of Missions and inaugurated it at Oshogun, the hometown of Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowder. It is a training ground for missionaries and evangelists. That's where they train them to go out. So we're not just training the seminary, we train the laity too so that they can do the lay ministry. The Church of Nigeria has come a long way. It has developed over 182 years. The church is very cohesive. In spite of our ethnic divides, we are one family. One general synod, standing committees, we meet together, we exchange ideas, we are one in mind and in spirit. The theological education sector is also going on. Episcopal synods are going on very well, and God has led us to be able to take right decisions to manage the church. As of today, the president of the women organization has also revolutionized even the women ministry in the Church of Nigeria. We must thank Mama Ndukuba. The women organizations are so strong that what the bishops do, they also do. The bishop will have a charge at every synod. The women have their women conference, where the leader, the bishop's wife or the primate's wife will read the charge to the people, and they are even sometimes stronger than some of the diocesan structures. So if the women, who are the larger number of the population of almost all the churches, if they are strengthened and they have a good leadership, they will be able to make a lot of impact there. We thank God for where God has brought us. Politically, we have produced a lot of leaders. Some heads of state have come who are Anglicans. Some judges are there, and so in the marketplace, we are very visible. We thank God. Some have honored some laity. We have knights in many parts of the country. They call them sirs and dame or ladies. In the western part, they have installation of chiefs. We call them chiefs. That is a way of bringing them up. We have some dioceses that have schools of nursing. They have some other schools of Bible colleges here and there. So we run as an Anglican church. And the Church of Nigeria has mandated everybody to be evangelical, to key into the vision of the primate. Once we have the good leader, our future is sure. We thank God. In general, the Church of Nigeria is marching on as the vanguard of biblical orthodoxy and Anglican orthodoxy, not only in the country, but globally, as divine destiny has rightly positioned her. This is the beginning. The greater years are ahead for this church in Jesus' name. I thank you so much for your attention.